Welcome to another episode of It Heartfelt with Gloria. My name is Gloria Ndoro-Mkombachoto, and I'm going to be continuing with the entrepreneurial series where we were interrogating why Black families or the Black community is lagging behind other communities in growing their businesses and sustaining them to become intergenerational businesses. As we have been discussing before, we know that there are generic reasons that are well known and non-generic reasons. My preliminary research has come up with about 18 reasons, both generic and non-generic, why Black people are lagging behind. And we worry about this because when you look at other communities, perhaps the Indian communities, the white communities, the European communities, on a per capita basis, when you compare that to Black people, you tend to find that Black people's businesses, viable businesses, when the founder dies, then these businesses don't graduate to become intergenerational businesses. And we want to interrogate why and find perhaps solutions that will assist Black entrepreneurs in making sure that those businesses graduate to be intergenerational businesses. Now, my apologies for not having been here for a while, for a whole host of reasons. I've not been able to post content here. And the main reason really is life. You know, the life that we live has got too many competing priorities. And as you choose one priority over the other, you remain mindful of the fact that whilst you've chosen to do something over another very important task, you still know that those tasks that you set out to do still need to be done. But anyway, I'm here now. Welcome. If you are still watching, I hope you are happy with the content that we've delivered so far. We are lagging behind, but we are going to catch up with a lot of the content that we had said we are going to deliver. If you are not yet subscribed to the channel, please go ahead and do so. And by all means, please comment and make suggestions because that's how the algorithm works. The more you comment, the more you like, and the more you share our videos, the more we also get to have more airtime on YouTube. Now, today we are going to be talking about a very exciting topic on social capital. Remember, I indicated that my preliminary findings are pointing to 18 both generic and non-generic reasons why Black people lag behind. And I'm going to start with the non-generic. And social capital has emerged as one of the most important non-generic reasons why Blacks or Black entrepreneurs are lagging behind in graduating their businesses to become intergenerational businesses. Now, social capital is very, very important, but in my discussions with other entrepreneurs, both Black and non-Black, we are realizing that its use within the Black community is neglected. Black communities have got social capital, but they are not using it to their advantage in business. Now, when you look at the different types of capital available to any entrepreneur out there, big, small, or medium-sized, or even in the informal sector. There are mainly three types of capital. There is your social capital, which I actually believe is the most important, and I refer to it as the goose that ideally should be laying the golden egg. But sometimes it doesn't lay that golden egg, and we are going to interrogate why. Then you've got your human capital. Your human capital are the human resources that glue the social capital and the financial capital together in order for the entrepreneur to realize their goals and missions within that enterprise. And then the most obvious and the last one is financial capital. This essentially is the launch pad that gives you the license to get off the ground. Most of the time, people say that they don't have capital to start. Although financial capital is important, we are going to realize as we discuss some of the reasons why Black people lag behind, that sometimes we are surrounded by non-financial resources that actually can help us to start our businesses and grow them. And from then, we can generate the financial capital to redeploy back into our businesses. So there are three types of capital: social capital, human capital, and financial capital. And personally, I believe that social capital is the most important to the entrepreneur, because if you know how to use social capital, it can open quite a lot of doors to you in your businesses. So what then is social capital? Social capital is a resource, a capital that is available that is derived from an individual's relationships with the networks that they interact with. It is the quality of those networks and the value that is being derived from those relationships. So we need to underscore the words quality and value. We all have networks out there, but unless those networks have got a certain level of quality needed to advance what we are trying to achieve in our businesses, and unless those networks bring value to what we want to achieve in our businesses, the mission, the goals, our action plans, then that network might not be as useful. So I always say that never be lied to out there. It's not who you know that is important out there when you get into the nuts and bolts of entrepreneurship. It's not who you know. We know so many people, but are those people that we know, are they willing to know us when we are not there, in our absence, in good light? Are they willing to know and represent us, or put a good word across on our behalf, in essence validating us when we are not present? When you've got a critical mass of people who speak about you in good light in your absence and are willing to put their necks on the line about your integrity, about your character, and about your reputation, that then forms part of your social capital. Now, many people, I've said this before, many people are known socially by many people. But given the opportunity for those people to share with you a cup of milk, when they are holding a whole drum of milk, many will not be able to do that. They present to you as if they are part of your network, but if an opportunity presents itself where they must just share a cup of milk with you when they've got a whole drum of milk, they will not give it to you. Those kinds of people, you might choose to continue to interact with them socially, but they are not part of your network. They are not part of your social capital, and they are not part of your tribe. So it's very, very important to understand the role of social capital. The word capital tied up to social means that there is value and there is quality. Where that is not possible, you've got a problem. But also, when we talk about quality, we are talking about quality affiliations that deliver value. But by delivering that value, we are implying that there is generosity in that delivering of that value, and that generosity is intentional, and it's deliberate, and it's conscious. So when somebody who is part of your valuable and your quality social capital network is very intentional about recommending you when they see opportunities when you are not there, or they will tell you that, Gloria, there's an opportunity at X. I've put in a word for you. Why don't you get in touch with so-and-so and tell them that we spoke about this issue on a particular day and they are following up on it? That is being generous, and that generosity is intentional. And that person or those kinds of people belong to your social capital network. This then means that social capital is not an intrinsic characteristic of you, the entrepreneur. It is an extrinsic. And the other people who are part of your network must want to be part of your social network with you. Here we are talking about business. You might be in a group of people who you believe that they are part of your social capital network. But if they are not doing the kinds of things that I've just articulated, they are part of your social network, but they are not part of your social capital network. They might want to hang out with you, but when it comes to business and they hold back, they are not part of that social capital network. So we need to always understand this distinction, that there is a network out there. There is a social network out there. And that social network does not necessarily translate to social capital. When people's behaviors within your social network does not bring to the fore opportunities, they don't bring value, right? Value that you can deploy in your business so that you can mobilize your human and financial resources or human and financial capital for growth, so that you meet your business's objectives. Those people are not social capital. So how you as an entrepreneur structures your network can determine the value that you derive from your social capital. This is so important for you to say, yes, I'm in this big social network, but am I going to lump everybody together? What are the behaviors that I'm assessing from this social network? When I'm in this social network, are people mainly focused on fun issues? Perhaps you are having barbecues, you are having dinners together, you are having drinks together, and they shy away from talking about business. Or there are people who are always finding meaning in those relationships. And they say, guys, let's talk about opportunities. You are in this sector. I know this is happening. I know somebody who can help you in the kinds of things that you are happening. You need to be able to then structure your social networks so that they deliver that value and benefit and quality to yourself. Now, within every social capital network, there are opportunities that have to be derived. And these opportunities can be opportunities around you, accessing funding. For example, a social network might refer you to a venture capital company or might refer you to a bank. And the nice thing about that social network referring you there is by the time you approach that financial institution, you have already been validated by a respected contact of the organization that you are approaching. It makes all the difference when you approach certain institutions already recommended or validated by somebody from your social capital network. Rather than you doing a cold calling, you are just calling, you want to speak to Mr. or Ms. or Dr. or Mrs. X who doesn't know you. Sometimes the reception that you receive without having anybody from your social capital network validating you can make you take a long time to get what it is you want from those networks. Now, this aspect of you being referred to a financial institution or a venture capital company or such other institutions talks to social capital being beneficial in delivering resources that allow you to commercialize ideas. But there is another aspect of social capital where you might have structured your social capital network in a manner where the people that you are ordinarily interacting with in that social capital network are people who are great at generating entrepreneurial ideas. So there is a saying that I once heard from somebody many years ago when I was a trainee for a reinsurance company. We got this gentleman coming from India. He was an elderly, well-experienced gentleman. And one of the things he told us was, if you want to be rich and successful, you need to mingle around rich people. And he was very clear. He underscored the fact that it's not because rich people are going to give you their money. No, they are not going to give you their hard-earned money. But most rich, wealthy, and successful people tend to be great at idea generation. So when you are mingling around with them and they are busy generating ideas. And these people generate ideas to a fault. They generate ideas to a point where they do not always get to market all the ideas that they generate. But by you interacting with them, you have got all these entrepreneurial ideas at your disposal, and you can always find an idea that is going to help you in perhaps starting a new venture, or there might be businesses out there that are on sale. Perhaps even some of those people that you are interacting with have got conglomerates and they are going through a change management exercise and they are hiving off some of their operations. You get wind of it and you decide, perhaps let me buy a division that they are hiving off, and so forth and so on. So be very clear that social capital is so important in delivering two main issues. Number one, the discovery of entrepreneurial ideas that I finished talking about. And number two, the resources to commercialize those ideas. This is when I was talking about you potentially being referred to people with the necessary funding. Now let's move on to another very exciting and very important aspect of social capital. When you are in a social network, most of the time what happens is a leader emerges within that social network. It is very important, if you are not the leader of that network, for you to check the leanings of that leader, because sometimes a leader who is not highly entrepreneurial might emerge and then direct the direction of that social network. They might actually direct that social network away from business issues. So you need to be very careful that the leaders that are emerging in the different types of social networks that you belong to, is enterprise development top of mind for them? If it's not top of mind for them, then it's your choice to just keep them as social networks where you are having fun and you are not discussing anything about business. Then there is the other very important issue of group cohesiveness. When there is a higher group cohesiveness in a social network, and that social network tends to lean towards enterprise development, enterprise growth. How do we grow our current businesses? I'm needing this assistance. I need a larger market for my tomatoes. I need a larger market for my cucumbers that I'm growing. The market for cucumbers is flooded. And what do I do right now? You need a social capital network that will be able, even if they are not in agriculture, but they are other friends that they know or other networks that they know. You need your network to be the first point of call to assist you in resolving your problem. So essentially what we are talking about here, when we are talking about social capital is so instrumental in helping you, the entrepreneur, in resolving some of your business challenges. We can't be spending a lot of time with our networks and we are not talking about business. We can't, because time is money, time is value, time is opportunity, And if we are not deriving those benefits from our networks, then we probably are wasting time. But for all of these things to happen, there has to be a higher degree of cohesiveness within that social capital network. And that network doesn't need to be restricted to one group of people. You can have a network of women only. You can have a network, a social capital network that includes men and women, right? You can have a network that includes different communities. It could be a network with Indians, it could be a network with Black people, it could be a network with Chinese people and white people. Do not restrict yourself. The more diverse your network is, the more likely you are going to benefit from your network, because other communities might not necessarily understand what social capital is. And because they don't understand it, you find that in that particular social network, there is a tendency for other people to always want to benefit from other people's entrepreneurial ideas or other people's ability to lead them to resources that will allow them to commercialize those ideas without sharing. So it's important that when you are in a social capital network, you are not a sponge. You are not only taking away from the social capital network. The other members of the network must see you as a person who is also delivering opportunities, who's also delivering value, so that your value as a social capital networker within that network also is maintained or rises. Don't be a leech. When you are a leech, people quickly find you out and they will start moving away from you. When you want to always be taking from your social networks or your social capital networks without also being seen as a person who delivers value and opportunity and quality, sooner or later you are going to come crashing down. You must always remember that interacting within a viable social capital network is like a checking account. You cannot continue to write checks on your checking account without putting in deposits, because one day those checks are going to bounce. And when they bounce, we are dealing here with people. Sometimes when people decide that they are going to turn their backs on you, there'll be no coming back. It will be too late for you to say, oh guys, I didn't know what I was doing. Oh guys, I'm going to change my tack. It might be too late. So you must always understand that there has to be reciprocity in how we conduct ourselves within social capital networks. Now, I would like to quickly round up this discussion. For those of you who are joining us, we are talking about the role of social capital in entrepreneurship and how social capital can be one of those aspects assisting Black entrepreneurs in elevating their businesses and growing them to become intergenerational businesses. In fact, when you look at a lot of generational businesses throughout the world, they are highly networked and they've got a social capital that spans over hundreds of years. You'll find that this family is aligned to this family. They become, they are friends that become family over time because they are fighting towards the same goal. A viable social capital network is not competitive. You don't need to compete with your social capital network. The idea is to be scanning the market, scanning for opportunities, and making everybody within that social capital network benefit. Now, how would you, for example, then benefit from social capital? If you are new to this discussion of social capital, how would you benefit from it? I would suggest that the most simple and the most easiest is to look at the sector that you are operating in. If you say rearing pigs, you might want to find pig associations. Perhaps go to the pig industry board and find out what the sector associations are. And if you are a breeder of breeding stock of pigs, there definitely will be a pig breeders association. Join it, because from that network you are going to learn and benefit from other things that you might not know about. If you are into floriculture, find other guys who are doing floriculture. If you are looking at exporting, look at those associations that are exporting flowers. And perhaps the sector associations might even be further disaggregated into a chrysanthemum floriculture association, a rose floriculture association, a succulents floriculture association. Find those associations and join them. When you feel too comfortable with the current social capital networks that you are currently enjoying, and you are unwilling to move out of your comfort zone to discovering new networks, it's going to be a challenge for you to benefit from social capital. So on that note, thank you. Please do not forget to subscribe to At Heartfelt with Gloria on YouTube. And please comment, and please let us know how you feel about the content that we are sharing with you. Next time, we are going to be talking about another very interesting topic on how Black people, the founders of new enterprises within the Black community, tend to educate their children away from the businesses that they would have started. That is why that reason is part of the reason why Black people fail to graduate, grow, sustain their businesses into intergenerational businesses. Why are we educating our children away from the enterprises that we would have started? On that note, thank you. See you next time.